Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel, Humble Homestead Life. In today's video, I'm just going to share with you how I am going to preserve my tomato harvest. So I have a small garden. Last year it did not do very well, but this year my tomatoes have done very well. So I am going to be making a pasta sauce and canning it. Now, I've never made a pasta sauce, and I actually got the recipe from Homesteading with the Zimmermans, and I will put a link in the description below for her channel so that you can get her recipe. And I tweaked it a little bit depending on what I had on hand. But first, you just wash and cut your tomatoes, and then you're going to blend them in your blender and add them to a bowl as you go. One thing I really liked about this recipe is that it eliminates the process of roasting your tomatoes or having to peel your tomatoes. So simplicity is what I like about this. And so it was pretty easy and quick for me to throw together just by having to cut them and blend them up. Like I said earlier, I got this recipe from Homesteading with the Zimmermans. The lady that has that channel, her name is Ruth Ann, and she was born and raised Old Order Mennonite, and I really like a lot of her canning recipes. Here I'm just going to be taking some of my fresh basil that is starting to be done for the season, but I'm going to salvage as much as I can off of it to use for this recipe. And on this pot I have a little bit of fresh oregano, although it's starting to go out of season also, and I've used quite a bit of it up, but I'm going to pull off as much as I can so that I can use these fresh herbs in my pasta sauce. And once I get a handful of each, I'm going to rinse them. And then I'm going to cut up 2 onions. I try to use organic as much as I can around our home to eliminate the amount of pesticides being sown. I live in an area where they use mosquito abatement, and I can't really get away from it. I do everything in my power to buy things that are pesticide and chemical free. Once I get the onions roughly chopped up, I'm going to throw some more tomatoes in my blender and blend them up so I have liquid. And then I will throw in my fresh basil, my fresh oregano, and the chopped up onions, and I will go ahead and blend that all together and then pour it into the pot with the rest of the tomatoes. Once everything is blended and poured into my stock pot, I will then put this on the stove and I will add the rest of the seasoning. So I'm going to add a little bit of garlic, and I am going to add some extra Italian seasoning. And then some sugar. And then I'm just going to take a wooden spoon and I'm just going to stir this up until it's well combined. I'm also going to add in some olive oil, and like I said, I'm not really giving the measurements because I will link a video to Ruth's page, Homesteading with the Zimmermans, so you can see exactly how she makes it. And on her page you can get, or her YouTube channel, you can actually get her printable recipe. Once I mix in the olive oil, I'm just going to turn on the burner on high, and then we're going to simmer this down until it's ready to ladle into our hot jars. Now I will just put this disclaimer out here that I can how I feel comfortable. This is not USDA approved. I am following somebody else's recipe that I feel totally comfortable using. So if you don't feel comfortable canning this way, feel free to find a USDA approved canning recipe that you feel comfortable with. Once I get my jars filled, I'm just going to add about a tablespoon of lemon to each jar. And then I'm going to stir it up, and I will wipe the rims of my jar before I add my lids. And then I'm just going to screw my lids on finger tight, and I will place them into my water bath canner. And I have this recipe figured out for me, and it usually makes about 6 quarts, which is really good. Once I get my canner full, I just make sure the water comes up to the neckline or the product line of my jars, and I will boil them for about 10 minutes. And after they have been boiled, I will remove them and let them cool on my counter. They look so beautiful, and it makes me so happy knowing that I preserved my own harvest. Until next time, God bless.